Okay, so last time I talked about disconnect with the people among you, but I feel like a bigger topic to talk about is the disconnect people experience in themselves, where they don't question like they live on autopilot. Like they don't question the opinions that they received from their parents when they were younger. They don't question the cultural beliefs, and they kind of internalize those pressures into their own heads where they feel like they need to conform. And I see this a lot, and because I used to have that where I never questioned what I was going to do in my life. I already knew how it was going to play out because that's what my parents told me how it's going to play out. And how I came out of there is simply by talking, with myself. It's simply by conversing, it's simply by debating ideas, debating topics, picking up the camera and just talking and thinking. And this is the thing, I feel like a lot of people don't think on that deeper sense. And a lot of people don't know how to. Like, I feel like it's a skill to be able to think and pick out information and be the idea to finish your thoughts and the ability. Like, it's a whole skill, you know? And a lot of people don't a lot of people don't talk about this because they think it's a given. It's like a natural. It's like, yeah, we think, you know, like we think, but to what extent do we think actually, and how meaningful are these thoughts? Because a lot of them are pure bullshit. Just, oh, I need to go do that. Yeah, I need to follow up with her. I need to get that done with my work. Like, yeah, you're obviously thinking, but to what extent is that meaningful? Okay, sorry, my neighbors came. But I was just saying, to what extent is that meaningful for you to just be thinking about these types of things? And it's still you living life on autopilot because you're not really changing anything. And another thing to this is being ignorant. And I feel like a lot of people subconsciously don't think about these deeper things because thinking about these deeper things would require them to acknowledge it and in results change something about it. And that's always hard. That's always a harder thing to do than just stick with your life. And even though you know you hate your job, even though you cannot wait until the weekend, even though you cannot wait until it's 5 p.m. to go home and make dinner and order something, like, we have these feelings, but we just don't say them in our own heads because that would require us to change something about that life. And okay, I do want to say that I'm speaking from a more Western perspective. In developing countries and countries that and families that don't have that privilege in order to, I guess, decide what they want to do on a daily basis, decide where they want to work, the skill requirements. Like, I'm acknowledging that I'm speaking kind of from a privileged perspective, but because you're watching this YouTube video right now and because you have time to watch that, I'm kind of gonna assume that you also have time to sit down and just think about what it is, how you want your life to play out. Ask yourself these hard questions. What am I where am I going to build meaning? Where am I what friendships are meaningful to me? How is my environment looking like that? Like now. What do I want to change about my life? Am I working towards that goal? Are my actions following up with the version that I have of myself in my head? What version do I want to have of myself in my head? What kind of man do I want to be? What kind of woman do I want to be? How do I want my life to be like? Do I want to travel? So many questions to ask yourself. And you could then say, okay, that's just you overthinking things. Like, but I feel like it is very important to overthink these types of things. Not what did he say about me? What did she say about me? There's different kinds of overthinking. And I feel like this version of overthinking is never bad. It's never bad to dedicate time for yourself in the evening to just sit down and think. Like, I do that and it has done wonders for me because I feel more in touch with myself. I feel more at peace with myself. Where I come to decisions about the actions that I want to take to see how my life plays out. And a really empowering thought is that I can decide how my life plays out, and the same way you can decide how your life plays out. But I do think it starts with questioning and challenging the beliefs that you already have and the way that you live your life right now, and acknowledging that way, like, a lot of people are in denial even about themselves. Like, they have that version of themselves in their heads that doesn't even exist in reality. And you can say everything's basically subjective, you know, but I do notice that people tend to either be too harsh on themselves or tend to be too confident on themselves. And a lot of people are not really realistic about the situations where they just form fantasies, delusions that they create in their heads. I think everyone has had this common experience where I don't know, like if you have like a crush on someone and they do something, you like overthink that in your own head and you create like some kind of fantasy about how you see it playing out, where in reality it does not exist. Like you kind of have to be a little more objective, and I feel like people are lacking that objectivity nowadays, where people just live by feelings and emotions, and they kind of let it dictate their whole days. But I do notice that it's like more in countries where they have the ability to control their times and like what they do on a daily basis. But and like I guess more freedom, because in countries where they just have to survive, where they just have to work, they don't have a choice. Well, anyway, I yapped a little off track, but I want to end it today with you guys just pick up something, not a camera. Like I would legit pick up a camera and not post it anyone, just myself, and I would just talk every single day. God knows what about. Like I would like actually sometimes I would just be in silence, but I would just be with my own company, with myself. And so important to learn to be independent and not to rely on other people. And I'm not telling you to just go and just live your life in your own bubble. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that it's important to know yourself in order to have that bigger impact, that happier impact on the people around you, instead of just basically, I don't know, I guess maybe this is like a big thing in my life, where I really try to create meaning in what I do. And I want to try to create meaning in my friendships and with YouTube, and also now with my career. And maybe a lot of people don't really seek that meaning, but maybe at the same time it's because people don't know that meaning. And I kind of want to bring that back, where knowing yourself is so important to how your life plays out. Basically a dictatorship to how your life plays out, because it's in your hands to control that. No one's going to do that for you. No one's going to come and tell you. Well, people do, like your family, because another thing is that a lot of I used to live in China, and a lot of students there would get like severe pressures from their family into the work of field that they have to go into, but they don't enjoy doing that. And a lot of the times what happens is that people realize that later in life, and they're like, damn, like I really just wasted so much time. And I'd want you guys to prevent that, and you can prevent that by thinking about what is it that you want to do. And that's not being selfish. If that's what you're thinking, it's not being selfish. It's just not to sound like not to sound like a little guru, but you generally do just have one life, and you deciding how your life plays out and the impact you want to have on other people, it's not selfish. So yeah, I kind of want to end it on this note.